So today we're here with
Ron Kabbes.
Ron. Who are your parents?
My parents are Bill and Agnes Kabbes.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Oh, yes, I did. I had my brother Bill, my brother Vic, Frank, the president of the State Bank, my sister Norma up in Chicago area, and myself, my twins. Don and I are twins.
Did sports play a role in your family?
Very much so. Everybody played.
Where did you go to high school and what year did you graduate?
I went to St. Anthony High School and I graduated in 1956.
What sports did you play in high school?
Well, we only had two. We had baseball and basketball. And we were the first team in the history of basketball in Effingham County to go to the state tournament. That's when at time they had 16 teams qualified for the state.
Talk about your high school sports career from your freshman to senior year.
Well, that's hard to do. It's pretty hard to do. They were all baseball and basketball, and I played both sports for 4 years. I lettered 4 years in baseball and basketball. So there's a lot of times that we played people from the area that was on our team, and Bobby Ludwig, a good neighbor of mine, and Ken Nibergy, and my twin brother Don, and Chuck Hankelman, and Mike Sahe, Bill Martins, besides everybody from Teutopolis that we played against, and Beecher City, Charlie Miller, and a whole bunch. So we had quite a good time playing sports.
Who were some of your coaches?
Well, I had Mr. Bells for 2 years, and then also Harry Forrester for the first 2 years.
So as far as some of the favorite facilities in which you played in high school, where would you name them?
The favorite facility? Probably down at Aldi for the super sectional was a favorite one. But I have to say, I played a lot of games in golf gym at St. Anthony. My dad built golf gym himself, so I was very proud to be playing there. So,
is there any stories in high school you'd like to share?
We have to talk about the state tournament that we went to in 1956. We were playing Edwardsville, Governor Jackson, Manny Jackson, and Governor Vaughn. We were winning 38-19 at halftime, and lo and behold, we got beat by 5 points.
Wow. 5 points.
We don't want to talk about that.
They went on to play for the U of I.
What's that?
They went on to play for the U.
Yeah, both of those, Manny Jackson Governor, played for the University of Illinois for 4 years.
Did you receive any awards in high school?
I received, in sports, I received the Most Valuable Player Award in 2 sports for about 2 years in a row, besides receiving some awards for educational too. I was on the honor roll for about 3 out of 4 years. Did
you go to college anywhere?
I went on a scholarship to Rockhurst College in Kansas City after I graduated in '56, and I was only there for 1 semester because I signed for a contract for baseball with the Cardinals, and I couldn't stay there and play sports. I was ineligible for sports at Rockhurst.
Were you drafted or did you intend to try out for baseball? Describe that process.
Well, in my days, we did not have a draft. So we had to try out or else be recommended by a scout or a coach or somebody like that. So I played at St. Anthony for those 4 years, and I was recommended by Coach Bells, who was a part-time scout for the Cardinals, and then Joe Monahan was the main scout in St. Louis. So,
what year was that?
I graduated in '56, and I signed the winter of '56.
What position did you play?
I played shortstop in high school most of the time, and then when I played pro ball for 7 years, it was shortstop, second base, and third base.
So talk about your minor league experiences. What levels, what locations, and what leagues did you play in?
Okay. My first year was 1957, and I played for the Cardinals for Albany, Georgia. That was a Class B as a learning experience in my first year as playing with other players from other countries, other towns, other cities, states, you might say, and it was an education in itself.
Talk about some of the minor league career stats you had. Also, include your teammates and your coaches.
Okay. I did a pretty good job playing defensively shortstop, and I led the league in defensive percentage 3 out of 7 years. And then I also played in the All-Star games for Class D and Class B and AAA 3 years out of the 7 years.
Talk about some of the teams and players that you played against.
Played against? Oh, I played against Jim Hickman for the Cubs, who was a very close friend of ours. Charlie James from the East St. Louis area. Tim McCarver, Bob Gibson, those guys. They were all part of the system, and it was quite an education just being with them. And Chris and I were talking today about the best pitcher, you know, and he thought Sandy Koufax was the best pitcher that I played against Sandy Koufax in spring training, but Bob Gibson was by far the best pitcher that I played with, and very much of a gentleman.
Talk about playing in Cuba. What's the story on this?
Well, that was quite a situation. I was playing for Rochester, New York in the AAA League, International League, and we traveled to Havana, Cuba to play a 3-game series with Havana. They were in our league. So we got there, and it happened to be the anniversary of the revolution in Cuba, and we were supposed to start at 7:30. Well, it was 9 o'clock because they were waiting for Fidel Castro to show up. And all heck broke loose, and it was about 11:45, midnight. And then all of a sudden they started unloading and shooting guns and everything else, and shooting the light standards and everything else. And one of the shots ricocheted and hit our third base coach in the head and knocked him down. Luckily, he had a liner on, and it did not hit his head officially, but he was knocked down. And so we all ran to the dugout and got our third base coach taking care of him, and got out of there that night and spent 3 days locked up in a hotel in Cuba before they let us go. And then after we got back to Rochester, we caught hell because we didn't finish the game.
That's quite the story.
We never did go back.
Oh my gosh.
We never did go back.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So name some of your favorite ball fields.
Probably, I'd have to say Paul Smith Field for one, because that's where I grew up, and I just loved Paul Smith. And I started there playing when I was in the 8th grade for the Comets. And that before we had fences for right field, that center field, you was hit the ball and run. You don't go from there. But then again, Rochester, New York, where I spent 7 years there, was a beautiful ballpark, and I saw it develop from year to year into a real nice ballpark for everybody to watch, and for the fans especially. It was great.
Did your family attend any of your games?
Oh yes, quite a bit. My wife came with us. She went to spring training with me for Florida for a couple of years down there, and had her own, she had a place on the beach, in Daytona Beach. She could enjoy the beach while I played baseball and had a good time. But, and then she was with me all the years. We got married in 1960, so she was 61 in Rochester, New York. And she also went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, spent time with us. And then my family came and joined us once or twice in Columbus, Ohio, and visited. But then there's other people from Africa that came out to Rochester and spent some time with us, 3 or 4 days, just to visit classmates of mine that I enjoyed that spent time with us. So it was great.
Add any other stories you'd like to add during your minor league career?
Well, I would like to. Probably the thing I really enjoyed was when I went to spring training with the Cardinals on a 40-team roster. When I got down there, I was known as a pretty good shortstop and defensive-wise, but I was only 19, 20 years old. But there was guys like Kenny Boyer playing third base, and Alex Gramas, and Red Shaney's, and Stan Musial, and Bob Gibson, and Tim McCarver. And here I am, 19 years old, with all these guys. And then Kenny Boyer I made a good play, and Kenny Boyer came up and says, "Hey, you did a good job, just keep it up." And then they moved me over to second base, and I was playing second base, and Stan Musial was batting. So I thought, well, I better be ready. And about the second pitch, he hits a line shot right at me. By the time I got down to my knee, the ball was past me. And I said, well, that's Stan Musial, okay? And I remember Stan Musial for that reason, but it was quite an education just to be there with those guys.
What did it mean to play against Stan Musial?
To play against him, well, the only time I played against him was in spring training, but it was just his name, his reputation, and how he was with other people, and I really enjoyed that. And I've always thought that if I could be somewhat like him in my activities as a sportsman, I'd be all right. So,
are you in touch with any of your former teammates?
I was. We spent quite a bit of time with Jim Hickman throughout the years, and we saw Charlie James. He was played for the Cardinals, and he was out of St. Louis area. And every now and then we went to Kansas City. We were looking for Ray Sadecki, and we could find Ray Sadecki at that time. Those types of players. But lately we don't see that many. Mm-hmm. We don't travel that much anymore.
At what age did you become interested in sports?
What age? Probably right in about the 5th or 6th grade when I was playing basketball at St. Anthony, and then getting into high school days. But I also had the opportunity to play for the FEM Comets in baseball in the 8th grade, and just that opportunity that Paul Smith gave us to play and to play with adults, you might say, that we were young kids who's getting up and getting educated. And it was all right. It was really enjoyed it.
Since you played, how has the game changed?
How has the game slow, extremely slow, and it's hard to watch. I think it is. And the other thing is that when we played, there was not a draft, and you had to sell yourself to another team, to the Cardinals, whoever, and the scouts would work it out. But nowadays, it's strictly union contracts, and they sign you and they give you hundreds of thousands of dollars just for your signature, and that's not what it's all about. I hate to say that, but that's not what it's all about.
So what advice would you give to a younger kid about playing sports?
Well, I would say definitely that you had to be devoted to whatever game it is. You had to be honest. You had to work on your fundamentals, and you had to respect people that you're playing.
Who were some of your biggest role models?
Well, let's put it this way. My mom and dad were very much big role models, but I appreciate my brothers that played sports throughout all the years, and my brother Don signed with the Giants for a couple of years, and my brother Frank with the Yankees, and my brother Bill played shortstop for the Firestone softball team, and my brother Vic, who was 6'4" and left-handed, could really throw the baseball, and was probably one of the best athletes in the area. I just respected all those as far as sports, and I followed those people as far as their games and whatever it could be. So,
what has sports done to change your life, Ron?
It made me be honest, and it made me to set the example for other people to follow, and don't just think that because you're an athlete that you're better than somebody else. You're out there doing the best you can and relate to other people what it's all about and how you respect people.
Ron, in closing, is there anything else as far as stories that you'd like to share, anything like that?
Well, I think it's just a benefit that I had and given by my parents, that I was able to participate at St. Anthony throughout all the years, and my dad built the gymnasium, which really made me proud of it. He also built the one at the Topless in the gym over there. But just the fact that when you're involved in sport, you've got to participate, you've got to be a human being, honest, and you get along with other people. And that's what life's all about. And just yesterday, my son sent me a picture of our team that we have for the 1955 Kramer Commons baseball team. And there must be 8 of my classmates and teammates on that picture that we're playing baseball together way back when. So it was good memories.
Ron, thank you for your time. I enjoyed hearing your stories, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So, Ron, what exactly you had something else you wanted to say. What would that be?
Well, I'd like to talk about the promise I made to my father when I was 18 years old, and he said that he gave me approval to play baseball if I wanted to, on one condition, that what you have to promise me you will get your college education. And I said, Dad, I will do that. Well, I signed in 56 and I quit in 63. It took me 11 years to get my college education, but with my going to Eastern Illinois University in the winter months, a quarter at a time, and the support and love from my wife and family, I was able to finish in 1967. So I got my degree. And then during that time, I also spent from 1963 to 1967 as a freshman sophomore coach at St. Anthony High School, which helped me get through my college days too. So, and then I also, after that, I ended up working 3 years, I should say, for the St. Anthony Hospital as personnel manager. And then in 1970, I went to the Illinois Department of Transportation as administrative manager, and I worked there for 32 years, and I finally retired.
And you had a heck of a career.
Yeah.
That's really cool, Ron. I appreciate you talking to me about that story.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.